Everybody. I know I'm testing the edge of the usual start time, but we at least managed to make it within the window. Um, I'm trying. This one was a little funny. I actually managed to get home on time, but I had a bit that I needed to do in between getting home and actually starting the stream. So hopefully this will be the start of a movement towards more consistent start times. But one way or another, thank you for stopping by, and we're back to Book of Hours, the House of Light early beta, as soon as I can get it set up. Books are the memory which does not die, inscribed in 5 languages over the gate of Hush House. Go quietly, Book of Hours is a forgiving sort of game. If you're worried you might be stuck, there's usually another way. Cured says, good evening, System Chalk. Probably won't be able to stick around, but I do hope you have a good stream, sir. Well, thank you very much for stopping by, Cured. I hope you have a good evening. I know you had some job applications in, and I think you had an interview. I hope all of that goes well. We'll take a minute here. I will both credit the authors of the game as well as do an overview of House of Light. You, by the way, have the option of wishlisting it, and I highly recommend you do so. It's about a month away, so we don't need to wait too long for this game, or this expansion. But we are going to, 1, do our best for testing, and 2, sorry, still dealing with my audio. Yeah, we're going to do our best both to sort of take a peek at what's inside House of Light and look at what we can do in the time before it goes live in its 1.0 version. That's after work today. Got about 8 more hours before your interview. I'm working 5. My God. All right. Well, best of luck, Cured. I know that's not ideal, but I trust you will show off your qualities and your dedication nonetheless. All right, authors. Weather Factory is design, writing, and coding. Alexis Kennedy, art, production, and marketing. Lottie Bevan. Whoops. We salute our collaborators. Additional coding by Roman Loskudov, Knights of Unity, FRGM. Additional art by Adrian Degan, Clockwork Cuckoo, and Catherine Unger. Music by Maribeth Solomon and Brent Barkman from Mickey Mar Productions Limited, RIP Mickey Erb. Also worth mentioning that this is available on, not just on Steam, which you can get with sort of the bundled version of the game at a discount, but it is available on the different streaming platforms, possibly including YouTube, but definitely Spotify and Apple Music. SFX by Soundcuts. And as is usually the case, I do want to just take a minute here and acknowledge the localization. I am not equipped to say these names. I will, of course, point out Clock Q, who has actually stopped by occasionally. And again, that is not meant to be to shortchange anybody on the localization. It is wonderful that this game is going to be sort of delivered to a much wider audience as a result of the localization, and that means that Weather Factory will continue to make games that I get to enjoy along with all the rest of us. But I have absolutely no hope at at getting these names correct. I don't even get the regular names correct. So finally, special thanks all our beta testers, Riley Lebrec for Steamworks.net, Fingles Coffee on Trafalgar Road, Johnny Coughlin and Mark Lewis, Alex Tuddy, Anna Poulter-Jones, PK and Sonia, Matt and Taz, Sulo Inchi, Sulo Inchi you will also be able to see in some of the newsletters if you've not already subscribed to those. House of Light. In the House of Light. House of Light is a big expansion woven deep into the game. Here is a spoiler light guide on how to find the new bits. Food. Combine ingredients at the 3 kitchen workstations to create dozens of new dishes. You will need kitchenware items to find all the recipes. Tip, the spice scales and the spices and savors skill will substitute for each other. The writing case. Once you've received this gift, you can record addresses from the calling cards left by satisfied visitors and write to those visitors to invite them back to the house. Tip, visitors don't arrive instantly. Visitors don't leave calling cards until you've helped them, and some visitors are easier to summon than others. Hello, Sinister Hope. How are you doing? You know, the funny thing here, I know it's obviously not the first time you've been by, but every time you say hello, it always says it's a first-time chat. I am fascinated by how you've been able to pull this off. But I hope you're doing well. All right, salons. Place food and drink in one of the 6 salon rooms, and then use the bell to begin a salon. Do it right, and you will be rewarded with sparkling conversation and lessons. Tip, visitors usually prefer food and drink, which matches their primary interest, but some have additional requirements. The game does actually communicate this to you, by the way. I got caught at the first salon when it, because meeting me all the time is like meeting me for the first time. I hope you're doing well tonight. Sorry, I probably said that before, but my attentions are already divided. There are 400 interactions in here, but probably another 100 to go. In particular, the villagers don't yet have unique interactions. Manuscripts use paper, ink, and a skill to write a manuscript based on that skill. These manuscripts may be necessary to satisfy thirsts for specific knowledge in further stories. Lessons from salons will help you improve those skills and write more useful manuscripts. Tip, you can't reliably control what visitors will discuss. It's a party, not an interrogation. But they will usually provide lessons related to their shared interests. Further stories. I'm doing all right. I got a little bit, I got started, I have like a 1 hour window to get started in the stream. Actually, if you can just give me a quick second. I forgot to turn off a light and it's just giving a little bit of glare on the screen, so I'm going to deal with this right now. Yeah, so I've been trying to start the stream on time, and that's largely been a losing battle, although some days are better than others. And today was a little bit closer to to what it should have been. Work's getting a bit busy, but I like my work, so that's not a huge problem. But most of all, I'm really happy to be playing House of Light. Or at least the early beta of House of Light. Okay, sorry. Further stories. Once you've completed an incident, follow it up on the tree of... follow it up in the Tree of Wisdoms. Visitors will need more specific help here. Perhaps a book on a specific topic or a specific book. Note further stories for The Invisible Opera and Dappled Rose are not yet available in beta. An affair opens to further stories once all interested visitors have had the opportunity to ask you for help with it. Be aware, in some further stories, it can make a difference who you originally helped. Be careful. This is one part of the game where choices can sometimes have permanent consequences. And finally, the Institute. I really do hope we get to this before the end of the beta, but look for the lighthouse out at sea. When your visitors are ready, use it to establish the true heirs to the Curia of the Isle. Note, only a very limited and incomplete preview of the Institute functionality is available in beta. Tip, further stories' outcomes can inspire your visitors to support the Institute for their own reasons. Their nature is constant, but some story outcomes can make them decide to emphasize one agenda over another. All right, let's load up. Workstation hints. The icons at the top of a workstation window suggest relevant powers to use in recipes at that workstation. Okay, rest and refreshment winter. It is winter and the storms have tightened the seas. I am sitting before the fire in the sweet bones with a beef and potato pasty in one hand and a hot ale posset in the other. I'm going to quickly just pause and unpause to see if there's any other actions queued up. I need to kind of jump my understanding from House of Light, from my YouTube run back to House of Light. So I'm still investigating Crowcross Sands. I guess that's so I can get some more mackerel. I think so. We've got a yellowing newspaper here. We're almost at the end of the day. Okay, fair enough there. I will confess I am somewhat surprised. So normally I like leave a... Okay, was I going to try and level up spices and savors? I'm sorry, I do actually feel like I'm short on one specific issue. Okay, you know what? Before we do any of this, let's actually talk a bit about the things that I want to do for the day. Man, I can't even remember what I was going to do at the end of the last stream. Shame on me. Alright. So for the Tree of Wisdoms, we have a few... So first of all, we kind of want to put a language in each one of these, if I can. I think I even worked out a plan for them, so that should be in my Excel sheet. So if I recall correctly, so we've got Birdsong, Preservation, Skolakosophy, and Nyctodromy. So if I recall correctly, so Sabazine will give me another Tryst. That comes from Birdsong. Oh, did I commit the Killisimi and that's why I have the extra... No, because the Killisimi would give me health. So yeah, Birdsong gets Tryst. Preservation gets Ramsund with Core. So that actually is a bit of a higher priority for me to bring Fraser Strathcoin in. But what else was it? Skolakosophy gets Hyksos, which will give me Arab when the time comes. And Nyctodromy was going to get Vac, which will give me another Fet. And then the open question was, do I want to put more into Illumination, which will give me Faust, or do I want to put it into Preservation, which will get me Core? And that's basically the division between where I want to put Crack Track. And I believe we can actually get Crack Track, so that is a question I need to answer sooner rather than later. But the slightly more pressing question to... Oh, sorry, there is one other thing, too. With Father Stanislav John Schaller, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let me just bring up the tablet. So we wanted Horns and Ivories at level 10. Yes. I think I know what I'm going to do with this Serpents and Venoms then. Okay. So let's go to the reading room. So if we take Horns and Ivories, I'm just adding the Tryst for the sake of the illustration. And then... Should I be writing a manuscript? Oh, here we go. So write a Furs and Feathers... No, that's Horns and Ivories. Yep, my dear friend, it is always nice to hear that alert, but it is wonderful to see your name attached to it. How are you doing tonight? I am back not just to... I'm not just back to Book of Hours. And sorry, I see you, Zangief. I will answer your questions in just a little bit. Oh my god! Thank you very much for the sub as well. You're all absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And Zangief, it's actually wonderful to see you back with questions. So, yep, again, lovely to see you. I know you've seen me play this before, but we were actually playing the forthcoming expansion, early beta of the expansion. So hopefully there's a few extra things to look at. We get to host salons, and we get to we get to talk about ideas, but it generates new memories, and there's a whole bunch of cooking and stuff like that that's added to the game that I really enjoy. You are currently enjoying the joy and panic of a life pivot. Feel free to share. Yep, or if you want, you can leave that for DMs. But best of luck to you, my friend. I hope it all turns out well. Now, Zengif's got a question here, and this is probably going to be something that other people will be interested in as well. So Zengif77 says, "Hey, System Chalk. I was hoping you were going to be streaming. So I bought Book of Hours, and I have some questions. I am afraid what I think is coming up here is a common one that comes up. So I am afraid of spending items and cards wrongly. For example, I tried considering a candle, and it just gave me a memory that I couldn't use, and then even that disappeared at the end of the day. How do I make sure that I don't softlock myself unintentionally? Should I consider the big wood blank? I don't want to lose it." So this is actually a very good question to ask, and I will just caution for my own play. I actually tend to hoard a little bit too much. So the good news here is that I know if you go on the Reddit, you will sometimes see people talk about soft locks a lot, but I can actually tell you that it's a lot harder to get stuck in this game. Okay, sorry, there's two kinds of stuck. There's stuck in terms of your own individual understanding, and that's going to happen a lot, at least if you're anything like me. But then there is the, okay, the game can't progress because I consumed everything that that was intended to help me out. And that has quite carefully been gone over by the developers of the game. So I'm going to show you the one way you can soft lock yourself in this game. So what you do is you take your journal, and let's say you go to the Sea's Edge. "Renounce what could be. My journal won't survive a second soaking. This will destroy your journal, which will make it impossible to complete the game. You'll be stuck, but you can do it if you really want." So on the condition that you don't destroy your journal, if you want, you can also throw it in the fire. Do I really want to burn a book? Do I really want to burn this book? But yeah, so the reason why I say that, it's not so much to kind of rant about soft locking and things like that, but it's just I wanted to just sort of set the table here and say, one worry that will be going on in the back of your head is, am I about to waste a bunch of time? And the answer is no, right? On the condition that you do not set your journal on fire or return it to the ocean, there will always be a way to advance in the game. Now, there are some ways are easier than others, let's say. A good example of this would be, in this opening room, we have a candle, we have the shadowless silk. I put a pale mommet in here. We had some tea, some pillows oat bread. I think a lot of these things can actually wind up consumed. So I think we might be able to break up the chair for some wood. Maybe the fractured mirror is something that we can't destroy, but we can definitely use the basket of clean linen in crafting. The key does get consumed when you open the door, but the key may have other properties that you'll learn about later. But yeah, so I think in this opening room here, other than the things that I added, I think it's maybe just the two mirrors here that can wind up destroyed. Now, if you just break it all up without any sort of plan, and then you sort of move into the house. Let's say you do that with everything inside the game. Yeah, it'll be a little bit harder, right? The fact that you start off with Rust Crag and Whiskey, that gives you 2 extra rows, and you can use that 2 rows with some of your characters. You can renew elements of the soul if you want with Rust Crag and Whiskey, but maybe one other use you would want would be to be able to use that with a visitor so you can get even deeper into the house. So the thing is that the game, there will always be a way. And I can say this as someone who has actually opened up the entire house without committing anything to the Tree of Wisdoms. So now again, I'm not going to recommend that that's the way you play the game unless you want to give yourself a challenge. So the couple things that I can encourage you on, or give you in terms of heuristics, in terms of using things. Generally, if the item is a consumable, and I appreciate that this can sometimes be a difficult distinction. Yeah, I can assure you that some of the things that you find challenges now will be the thing that you tell someone down the road, oh, don't worry, it's not as hard as it seems. It's it's just one of those things that it's only something you'll appreciate after you've spent some more time in the game. And incidentally, if you ever really do feel lost, do not ever hesitate. Even if I'm playing another game and you have a question, I love Book of Hours, so absolutely feel free to ask a question if I'm here, or if I'm not online, you can send a YouTube message or anywhere you can find me, I'll usually answer. Okay, so the essence of your question here really is like, how do I avoid destroying things by examining them? And I've got to admit that there isn't a really great way to tell. I'm going to test a couple of things. I'm actually glad that you asked the question at the time that you did, because I do have a spare Trist card to check this out with. So the Vase of Gorse, if I understand, I believe this would dissect the item and destroy it. So dissect the leaf, nothing will remain. As far as the candle goes, I think it's sort of the same story again. Light the candle, this will consume it. Yeah. And then the blank, I think, same story. Analyze the substance, nothing will remain. But in contrast, if we take this potted plant, investigate the object, you won't use this up or consume it by doing this. So I think maybe because this is a comfort as opposed to some of the other plants is probably the way that you would tell the difference. But the reason why I'm actually taking a bunch of time to answer this for you is that what you are doing is actually a very good thing to do in the game. The game is all about exploration. And the real challenge here is just, okay, how do I minimize those regrets where I examine something and I don't know what the end result is? Now, if you cannot abide the idea of losing an item, you absolutely can go onto the wiki, and I don't think anybody's going to shame you or something like that. I personally don't do it that way, so I'm going to speak to an alternative method. But I just wanted to say, right, like there aren't a whole lot of secrets in terms of what the results are. Can I give you any hints for increasing knock? I feel like that is one that is holding you back, so like memories to watch for. I've opened up the house up to the long art gallery after the garden. You're talking about the entrance hall? Sure. So I'll just wrap up this idea of using up items. So the one thing I do just want to say is like 100% continue to explore the game. If you feel like you are concerned about losing items, then what you might want to do is you may want to hold off on using up the consumables and then just maybe wait until you have more than one and then do your experimentation. I can't think of a lot of cases where you would lose an item and you'd get something really important. I'm trying to think offhand if there's an example of that. There are some which will give you some pretty interesting things, but I don't think there's anything which is like a must-have. Oh yeah, or a save file is totally fine as well too. Yeah, sorry, that makes even more sense. Okay, but you had a more important question. But the one thing I really, really want to stress here is absolutely keep exploring the house. I can guarantee you there are some very specific items here that might even seem like they're the same as other things in the house, right? Like there's two items that look identical. There are definitely subtle differences, and the game will reward you for looking into those. And I'll maybe try and make you feel a little bit better where it is absolutely useful to like consume some things. So I, for instance, have drank water or something like that to get a specific effect. but you're not going to wind up with a memory that's like really going to make the difference in most cases. So you can feel safe saying it's like, okay, I'm gonna experiment when I want. Or again, if you want, just save the game and reload. That's a much better way of doing it than I said. But you asked a serious question about knock. So the most obvious way to get knock, of course, is to have the shapt element of the soul. So this is, this will give you 2 knock and 1 forge. I'm assuming you probably have figured that out already. Oh, you don't have shapt. Okay. So one thing that you can do with your skills, and again, remember, you do not need to do this because I was able to get through the game without it. But if you commit certain elements of the soul to the Tree of Wisdoms, then you'll wind up with a potential shapt. So I think it's Skolakosophy and Nyctodromi that do it. So let's see. So we've got Rhyme and Remembrance. This gives us Arab. Maybe Serpents and Venoms? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so with the Tree of Wisdoms, it is worth remembering this is not just like, as with all of the writing in the game, this stuff actually means stuff. You learn a little bit more about the world. So I don't recommend, personally, I've never used the Tree of Wisdoms just to get elements of the soul. But this is definitely a way you can get more elements of the soul. So for instance, I have Serpents and Venoms here. These are the mother's neglected children. If we prefer that they, pass not through any door. So this one can go into the Hushery Wisdom or the Skolakosophy Wisdom. So if I put it in Skolakosophy, there's the bit of lore that we get out of this. The first sun, in the dawn times the sun was lower, so we gave it our blood. From our blood it knew us, and so it was kinder. But those days, are long gone. If we were foolish enough to find the first sun and give it our blood again, it would devour us. If we fed it the blood of our enemies, of course, it might devour them. This is the kind of thing you hear from Skolakosophists. And this is as opposed to the last sun. In the dawn times, the sun was lower, so we gave it our blood. From our blood it knew us, and so it was kinder. Its serpents brought us its poisons to drink, and so we died. But we only died a little, and so we dreamed, and returned the next day to give it our blood again. Those times of peace persist in the lessons of Hushery. So with that in mind, this is sort of an idea here where, as your character, you are sort of choosing what is the more primary aspect of Serpents and Venoms. But it's not just the story stuff. There are practical benefits, right? So the last sun will give me Trist, whereas the first sun will give me Shapt. Shapt, eloquence and understanding. The door opens both ways. So the first way that you can get some knock is to have Shapt, and the way that you can get Shapt is to commit a skill to the Tree of Wisdoms. If you are like me and getting a little twitchy in terms of getting sort of the quote-unquote perfect path through the Tree of Wisdoms, I'm focusing on getting less languages and putting them on the first branch. If you try and do that in your own playthrough, you are going to be sitting at the Tree of Wisdoms with it mostly empty for a long time. It is not necessarily something I would recommend. So that's the first one. And the nice thing about that too is that Shapt will give you Forge, so in addition to your heart, you'll be able to talk to Denzel and hire him for things like that. Reverend Timothy has 1 knock. He has 2 lantern and 1 knock in terms of his aspects. So your Faust will be able to get you Reverend Timothy. Now, in terms of Reverend Timothy, there are a few different things that you can give him to improve his knock. So one of those is a memory. Now, in terms of memories that you can generate, depending on the skills that you have, your skills can generate something called a Name Day Riddle. I believe the Name Day Riddle is one of the first ones that you can get to that'll give you 3 knock. You looked at the Reverend, you thought that he might be the best way, but I can't have him read books, can I? No, he can't read books. So I happen to have a visitor here. So we've got the Miner. So if we talk to the Miner, so I could encourage my assistant, work with them for a little while, exalt them, or I could just listen to whatever they might have to say. So in the Collaborate slot, we've got an element of the soul, a memory, a tool, beverage, and sustenance. And in the case of Reverend Timothy, there is one other exception, and that is he will accept light, specifically candles. So in this case, if I gave him the Honey Scar scented candle, that would give him extra forge and rose. Of course, it might be more interesting in your particular case, knock would be something that you're looking for. So in this case, we would want the Moth Orchid scented candle, which would give 2. Of course, you've said that you've got up to here, but you wouldn't be able to reach this. You can make candles, by the way. There's a chandlery skill, although if you don't have it yet, that doesn't mean much. But if you're ever interested, because Mr. Kill, for instance, the coffin maker, can also use wood, so that would be another one. Now, if I recall correctly, there aren't any knock tools in... Well, sorry, that's not entirely true. No, the Mamet doesn't have knock. There's a single-use item that will give knock. But in terms of things like the astrolabe and all of that hanging around, there isn't knock for that. It's a particular special item. Does the key have knock? The key does have knock, and I actually notice a lot of people recommend this a lot, but the catch here is that the key is a key. The key isn't a tool. So if I tried to give... It's actually quite a strong knock, 3 knock, but if I tried to give that to an assistant, it wouldn't work. So again, what you have to do here is you have to make sure that you match the aspects. You'll notice here, if I click on the empty slot, the items will flash. And then if you want, so this doesn't necessarily mean, like, this isn't necessarily the thing that I want, right? Excuse me. Some of the options that you have here, right? You can get a general idea of the items that you want, and then maybe you say, okay, well, I'm specifically looking for knock here, so if I mouse over on the knock, now I can see a number of different items. Exactly. And I will stress that when it comes to assistance, you can only, it's only one of each. So you can give 1 element of the soul, 1 memory, 1 tool, 1 beverage, 1 sustenance, and in the case of Reverend Timothy, 1 candle. So there are limits. Now, this is going to make me sound smug, but there is the Sacrament Ascite, which gives you 6 knock, which I'm pretty sure at that point will just have you screaming at your monitor. Well, how do I get that? But it's specifically, that is a later game item, which you will get. I mean, it's not that far into the house, all things considered. Like, there's, the lower levels here, but I would not recommend using the Sacrament Ascite to get to these parts. There are more straightforward ways of doing it. Then there's one last one that I want to draw your attention to, which you may already know, but it's... I'm going to need to wait for the Sweet Bones, but have you found any of the special... I used to call them special visitors, and I think the game does actually call them special visitors, but there's basically special assistants which are actually stronger than the other ones. One other question. Hello, Vanguard Master. One other question. You have noticed very fleeting items like Echo and Dust. I am sure I'll learn about them later, but can I use them somewhere now? No, actually, this is a good... this is also a good question. So these seem to get added sort of partway through the life of Cultist Simulator. And I think what they are is it is a way that the game... So there's like these transitory states in the game. So sometimes when you get an item, there's going to be a very small countdown before it becomes the real item. And sometimes when items are used, they're sort of transformed into these like 1 second long remnants that then just go away. And so that's just kind of an indicator in the game that there was something, right? You drank a fluid, or you ate something, or you dissected something. And it's just like, there used to be a card here, and it's now used up, so it's going away. And I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what the game... Like, I'm sure there are some specific mechanics in terms of how the game is sort of built and works that cause them, but you can safely ignore those. That is just sort of... That is the banana peel, right? You're just sweeping away the rubbish, and you don't need to worry about it ever again. Those, unless they radically change the game, I am 99% sure there is absolutely no application for them, no matter how hard you try. Let's just make sure that we're not Let's just make sure that we're not losing. So when we say the Tree of Wisdoms, we're talking about this thing. The ones that I've got committed are the Queen's... sorry, this is Fusine, Erikapean, Hyksos, Jeweler's Tale... Sorry, Deep Mandayak, and Kilisimi. Might have been Kernwek Henevek, which is the... this skill here. But yeah, those 1 second... I'm sure we'll have one in a little bit. Those ones you don't need to worry about. Perfect. Okay, yeah. So these are all good questions, by the way. So just to reiterate, definitely continue to investigate all of the different items. And the reason why I say this is that they may not seem important at the time, but some of them are going to talk about details, which you're going to read a book and say, wait a minute, I think I remember something about that. And there's going to be a few holy crap moments, which are really, really fun in this game. I'm going to show you one other way to get knock. But the biggest thing that I would say is that if you're finding yourself short on the different items in that, this is a time to experiment and try other ways. So sometimes there are some cases where you don't actually have the resources you need to be able to push forward into the house. And that can be fine because there's always another way around. And sometimes that'll mean going into other rooms. Sometimes that'll mean, trying out some of your skills to see the different items that you can get. There's a lot of things that I have learned in this game by like banging my head against a thing and thinking it's impossible and then trying a different way around. And it actually teaches me something new about the game. And of course, above all, have fun. But do feel free to ask me any questions. I think that was everything that you had before. Oh yeah, and don't worry about the remnants. But I know now that I know that it's Henevek, it's I can see absolutely why it seems like that was in the Tree Wisdoms. Absolutely no problem. I hope you're having fun with the game though, Zangief. I know feeling lost is not always the most pleasant experience, but I like being lost in this game. Okay, so, and Vanguard, I hope you are a little drier than the last time I got to see you. Excellent. All right, so this is going to be related to the, this is going to be related to House of Light, but right now I'm trying to get 10, a manuscript of 10 for Horns and Ivories. So if I want to make a manuscript, I can just add paper and ink. Oh. Yeah, here we go. Knowledge pursued through paper's labyrinth, pinned with ink darts. This manuscript will satisfy Scale and Horns and Ivory's interest from visitors. Skill level will determine the manuscript quality, but books have souls too. Using an ink with the scale aspect will effectively double your skill. So, I believe what I needed to do for Schaller was get him a manuscript with Horns and Ivories at level 10. So if I use my Peribiot, and if I can get Horns and Ivories up to 5, then I should be able to satisfy the request. And this, I believe, is why I was leaving Serpents and Venoms off to the side. Sent home for a couple of days because they got stuck in the hole, but you'll be going back for a couple. Oh, lovely. I'm sure that was a very welcome development. So Horns and Ivories has Knock and Scale. It's level 2, so I'm going to want 2 memories, of which I've got no shortage. I think we're in the librarian's bed, right? So yeah, to keep a memory overnight. We can't keep the sun, but we can keep the revelation or the gossip, so we'll use the pattern and the salt. But we do need either a knock or a scale to level it up. We are getting my health back, which we'll have... Okay, good. So the Tryst... I can use that in 42 seconds. Or I can try and make something. I think making something might be a little bit better. but I do want to show off something in terms of how the game works. Better now. Okay, so one thing that I didn't realize until I played the game a little bit later, we've got the Sweet Bones. The Sweet Bones has been the public house in Brankrug since Cromwell's time. Its history is notable, its beer is not. Guests looking for discreet employment or for discreet assistance congregate in the snug. So if I wanted to make some money, I could put an element of the soul in here. So fortune telling, I've garnered enough mystique to tell fortunes for pennies, undignified perhaps for the librarian of Hush House, but times are hard. Or add a coin to find visitors seeking employment. Alternatively, if I add the, I think it has to be a shilling. Shilling, right, I get the assistance from a miner, and it says, alternatively, add a soul card to find any rarer guests who might be seeking employment. So if I add the tryst, or any other element of the soul, seek unusual help, what visitors might be passing through. Find out what unusual passerby might be looking for employment. So these ones cost more. And they also cost you an element of the soul, but some of the visitors, all of the visitors will have 4 of multiple aspects. You just don't get to pick which one comes by. So if you're really stuck in terms of certain aspects, you can seek unusual help if you put a little bit of extra effort. You won't spend the money unless you hire them, but you do need to put money and an element of the soul to be able to access them. That was the last item for Zangief's question that I wanted to cover. Okay, I'm going to restore an element of the soul just so I can make a little more money. Rest and refreshment. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. I did do the unusual help one time, and the visitor you got was too expensive and also not someone you could use at the moment. It was like an engineer. Yes, yeah. So that's the catch on that one, is that when you give up an element of the soul, you usually want something in return. So in those cases, I've done a run where I haven't used the unusual help as well, although I did commit things to the Tree of Wisdoms. So for those ones, I tend to think of them as a like, all right, I feel stuck, so I'm gonna use one of these hirelings. And basically, because if I'm stuck, I can use my elements of the soul to make money. So in that case, that's a way I can sort of dig myself out of the problem. But I've actually never really felt the need to do that. I've usually had other things that I can do in between. But obviously, I've got some experience in this game now, so I don't want to pretend that that's going to be everybody's case. Okay. So we're restoring our Whist at the Sweet Bones. We will use our health to level up Horns and Ivory. Let me just double check that it is Horns and Ivories that I want. Yep. Okay, so Serpents and Venoms, Pattern, Salt, Health. Consider. I am no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. Alright, now the Revelation doesn't hurt because I think we had... Oh, maybe not. My bad. I thought we had more... I thought we had more lantern texts to read. Prophecies of Glory. So if I've got a Foss 2, a Revelation, so that would be 4. 7. No, we totally have... Yeah, we've got this in the bag. Okay. Although that's got Watchman's Paradoxes, so I don't actually want to be using that. That's probably why I didn't put it in there. I suppose what I should be doing is just adding this to the... Sorry, I know I'm taking such a long time to figure out my next move with my Tryst, but I'm just trying to think what the most useful thing to make would be. Well, I mean, I suppose I could try... Could make another Eigengrau. Could also make Regensburg Bomb. Yeah, you know what? I don't use that often, so... Now, one thing I would like to do before too long is I'd like to sort of start preparing some more meals for future salons. Another thought I had, I feel like I'm spending too much of the game on pause, and it might go smoother if you just let time run. I would have more soul when I needed it. I could pause it if there was something like a memory you didn't want to lose. Is there a benefit to being super efficient and always having stuff in use, or should I just let it go? Cultist Simulator was so a lot of the way that I play this game is really driven by the previous game, Cultist Simulator, which definitely had a roguelike flavor to it, and it would kill you if you didn't keep on top of things. There are a couple of things, so I'll give you, it's probably easier if I just list the number of things that will potentially affect you through the passage of time. So one that you mentioned was memories. If you have a memory that you don't want to lose, you need to either use it or at the very least sleep on it by the end of the day. So you've already kind of covered that case. Seasons. Seasons will always come back. But you will get different laborers at the Sweet Bones depending on the season. So if you feel like you really need to use, say, the miner's assistants, or you need to have access to a certain type of character, that would be one case where you maybe want to make the most of that particular day or set of days. And then the last one, this is the only one where you kind of need to stress out about time, is the Season of Numa. Because in the Season of Numa, it's the only time when persistent memories go away. And that says it on the description here. Persistent memories survive the dawn, but when the season called Numa passes, they will depart with it. Numa comes to Brandkrug in one season out of every 9, but exactly when is never certain, and years may pass without any sign of Numa's mists. So if you are in Numa, I would recommend the efficiency. But those are basically the 3 I would say that you need to watch out for in terms of potentially losing things that you want. In general, like I have trouble letting go, and I do tend to skimp out on the Tree of Wisdoms a bit. So I tend to play on pause a whole lot. But if you're finding that like you feel like you're missing out on stuff, or you feel like the game's not progressing, don't stress too much about letting the day pass. I happen to want to like really wring out the most of every day, but there's no prize for doing so. And yes, BB Hank. So I do just want to stress that this is an early beta of the House of Light DLC, so not everything is implemented, but we do have the lighthouse in the back here. We also have a bunch of goodies for cooking. But this is indeed an early look at the House of Light DLC. Alright, the skill is now level 3. Its power aspects have also increased. Alright, so on the note of unpausing. So as a tip too, you can hear the bell and the birds. That's the indicator that I have about another minute. How long have I been playing the DLC? 2 or 3 weeks, I think? I also play slowly, though, so we've done our first Salon, and we've done... what else have we done? We've done some cooking, and I've satisfied one of the events. So we're on to the Affair of the Second Skin right now, but we did the the God Awakened is different, but the one with the Lytirian. So we're trying to make Stanislav happy when we can. But yeah, because I talk a lot, I'm not as far into the DLC as others might be at the same point. Yeah, I mean, we don't have... I've completed the game before, but we only have sort of the first... We've kind of got about half of the Dawn, and we've gone through Baronial and most of Curia, so we still have almost all of Nocturnal and... there's still some Baronial up here as well. But yeah, we've got Nocturnal and Dawn to unlock. I still don't even have all the elements of the soul. But there's certainly no shortage of things for us to do. Good to know. Thanks for all the advice, and thanks for convincing me to get this game last week. I think I'm going to go play it. I am never sad to have people leave to experience more Book of Hours. I'm delighted that you are enjoying the game, Zangief. And again, please do not hesitate to stop by, even if I'm playing a different game. If there's something you want to ask about Book of Hours, I'm very happy to answer this stuff. All right, let's keep going. So in the morning, obviously we'll make some money at the Sweet Bones, but in the morning I'm probably going to have to make some decisions in terms of what will potentially get me my extra levels on Horns and Ivories, and also what might allow me to get some more skills. Medicine should smell like this, reassuringly off-putting. Also, I think I forgot to read the description of Horns and Ivories when I leveled it up. The Hunter, the Way, and their memories. Okay, so short-term stuff I want to do. I want to find a use for the occult scrap because I'm going to... I want to commit... is it... I don't know if it's Haima or Kaima. Anyways... what am I doing? You get an occult scrap for adding these, so I tend not to do them right away. Want to get Horns and Ivories leveled up. But I also want to bring Fraser in. So we can actually do that early in the day, so let's take a second here. So if I take Horns and Ivories and Pribiot, forgot to add the book. Alright, I have enough here to craft a letter to invite Strathcoin to Brandkrug. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Now I just need to post it. There's really nothing to stop me from sending this off right now. It takes a minute for him to arrive to the house anyway. Patience, thus the mountain awaits the fall of the snow, thus Monday awaits the death of the weekend, thus the postmistress waits for me to purchase the necessary stamp. Stamp, envelope, send. The postmistress examines the letter and deems it sufficient. It'll go with the next post, she assures me. Did Strathcoin receive my invitation? Alright, let's make some money. I could help with offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug and not everyone here knows their letters. Now the weather might determine... Yeah, let's, actually, there's... No, I'm gonna wait. Let's see what the weather brings before I commit to anything. Another sunny day. Okay. So I did forget what books I have. So I've got Ambrosial, I've got Amalgam of the Red Rose, I've got Three Flowers Hath the Tree, which I was actually going to hold off on reading if I recall correctly. The Ivory book's not that hard for me to read. All I'd be doing, though, is pushing Quenchings and Quellings even further up. Wait a minute. Now I remember why I put that one over here. So I think these were conditional on certain weather coming by. Okay, so the other option that I have instead of the language lesson would be to get Denzel working, or well, Denzel or Mr. Kill working on some of these rooms. I am actually slightly inclined to bring in Mr. Kill on this. Obviously, foolish of me to bring in Fraser at this time, but Mr. Kill always enjoys a chance to catch up with me. If you don't choose a topic, Mr. Kill will offer help as a friend. Mr. Kill can always spare a few hours to help a friend. Now, we're not really committed to too much activity books-wise. Maybe take a minute here and see if I've got something that I can use to drag up Horns and Ivories. I'm tempted, but Watchman's Paradox doesn't really do the trick because it's Lantern and Sky. We've got a bunch that are tricky. So the White Book of Brittany, I think we already have the Ragged Crossroads. We do. And Ragged Crossroads doesn't have what I need for Horns and Ivories. Rhyme and Remembrance, that's Moon and Winter, I believe. Yeah. Stone Stories. We don't have, but then I don't think we have a way of generating 10 stone. Yeah, I think at this point I need to commit a few more things before I can really make this work. Okay. I think I'm going to try and read the Ivory book then. But even then I need the memory. Or do I? Nope, 8's easy enough. And you've seen. Okay, Winter a conclusion. I can master this mystery enough winter to match mystery winter. While we are at it, I think there's going to be two things that I do here. I do still want to make sure that I'm brewing enough ink, so we're going to take Weaving and Knot Working and the kitchen bowls. Craft Ribiat, not all knots are physical. I can brew an ink which ties the naming to the named. Now doing that, I've occupied the kitchen, so I'm not able to do any cooking. I am mildly tempted to do a little gardening, though. Yeah, so let's pull up some moth orchids. Moth orchid is soft as velvet to the touch, except when it changes. At Crowcross Sands, we can do some beach combing. I think we can use the FET and the... Yeah, so let's use the FET here. And then the Tryst here. Now I'm going to need to still generate a memory for Mr. Kill, so we'll leave the metal, the Faust, and the Tryst aside, but I think I've got a pretty good idea about how I want to spend today. Oh, and an option for something from Oriflammes. This is a little tougher for me to accept here. So we've got a manual for departure, 14 knock vac text. Costs us 5 tally price. Now we're doing okay for Spintria. Actually, I'm gonna go crazy. We're gonna go Thyr's of Lake tonight. Mr. Kill can always spare a few hours to help a friend. So So if I give him Solomon's Preparation, that brings him up to 6, 8 with the Whist, and then 2 with the Memory. A nice drop. I can offer my assistants something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. And with that in mind, let's take the time to... I'll take the Faust. And we'll read The World Does Not Weep. That's a hindsight. We could also potentially get that from talking with Mr. Kill, but I'm not really at a point where I want to waste the talk verb that much. Although I think I have to do that at least at the start. Oops, sorry, just a second here. Yeah, so we are going to wind up talking with him a little bit anyway. That's just while I wait for either the Whist to come back or the hindsight to generate. Mr. Fraser Strathcoyne, philanthropist, collector, former librarian, a complicated man, but not a cruel one. So he will take... Oh. This one understands the possibilities of the Carapace Cross. Alliance, Awakening. I don't recall checking that last time. That is interesting. Okay, and he understands Ramsund. Understand this lively language well enough to read or teach it. This is the thing we want. He also prefers scale, food, and drink. Okay, so we are going to restore our Whist. We need that for Mr. Kill. And I'm trying to think if there's any benefit to me resting with the Whist. I don't think there is, but I think there is some sense in doing that with my health. Some authorities claim it is difficult to lose a pot of Peribiot ink, but they haven't lived in Hush House. So this is just to help me get the invitations out. Oh, I did say I was going to restore my health, so this is why we keep Eigengrau in reserve. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink, while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? So again, we're waiting to talk to Fraser before we... sorry, we're waiting to finish up with Mr. Kill before we talk to Fraser. The World Does Not Weep. Brown Joshua found this in a well in Hamath. There's an unlikely story that it was abandoned by Alexander during his retreat from Issus. The unknown adept who wrote this proclaims, "The world forgets, but the ivory dove does not." The text contains a number of prescriptions for ensuring that certain acts are remembered, including a rite which requires a sacrifice in a particularly monstrous mode. The Hours tried to bury the memory of what happened to the wheel, the flint, the tide, and the seven coiled, but the dove won't permit it. Nor will he permit what happened to the first egg to be forgotten, although it is perhaps the one thing that the Watchman might ever forgive. So we'll use this hindsight in a bit. Unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Moth Orchid is soft as velvet to the touch, except when it changes. And here we have sea glass, smooth as an egg and frosted like a winter window. Okay, so I still want to go collecting. I suppose I should have opened the packages as well, but... Now, normally, Elopolis Nook becomes kind of a greenhouse, so I want to try and avoid that and see if there's maybe somewhere else that I can put the flowers. I think for now... I will... Well, you know what? We already have plants in the librarian's quarters, so this will do temporarily. I think we can keep the glass in the workshop here. Nope, maybe not. I also keep forgetting to feed the dog. I really should get on that. Okay, so the glass we will put... That actually seems like an item we can put in the Nook. All right. Of course he does. All right. So once we get my whist back, we will have our last little bit with Mr. Kill taken care of. Here, I'm going to bring back the Foss just so I can earn a little more money over the course of the day. And then we get some tutoring with Fraser Strathcoin. The Ivory Book, a manual of the Ordo Limea, an order of quasi-immortals who maintained a secret enclave at the source of the river Limia in the Roman province of Hispania Gallicaea. This manual was compiled by one Kurenai, who claims to have fled the tyranny of the Chrysanthemum throne to cross the world and join the Ordo. Members of the Ordo took an oath, the Ivory Chain, not to have commerce with the Hours. Followed literally, this would be almost impossible for an adept, so the manual contains numerous clarifications, exceptions, and processes of indulgence. Kurenai describes the Order's burial rites, which include spells to ensure, in theory, that the souls of dead long are not given to the Hours. The hour called the Ivory Dove, who memorializes and commemorates, is to be invoked in secret in these rites, for with that hour we have made an understanding. So 2 quenchings and quellings, that'll take us up to 7 when the time comes. And we have a regret. Now I don't think the librarian's bed is going to let us keep that regret, so that is a small wrinkle in the plan. This should be the regrets pile. Okay, so if I'm going to level up Quenchings and Quellings, Heart and Winter. I would need a plan to get 4 of the relevant memories. So, you know, I think I'm going to change up my plan for the day. We'll still get Mr. Kill up to the level that he needs, but we might hold off on our tutoring with Fraser Strathcoin until we have a little bit more to... I just want to see if we can maybe level up Quenches and Quellings once more. So memories don't last long outside books, but it's made the difference for the day. So one last improvement. This brings him up to 10. We'll watch for what lies ahead. Boosts Winter and Lantern. Sorry, Lantern. Deserved a little quiet time. Now, one thing I also think I've neglected to do, so we've got Lake Fusino recordings, Tower Falls, and the Invisible Opera. Well, all of these are tougher than I can really handle right now. I don't want to ignore the phonograph records, though, because we do have the earlier phonograph now. Most of the saves I've been playing are so old that they don't actually have this change to the house, so I'm still getting used to the idea of using these records. Okay, so I think what I wanted to do with this health, and it's a little bit, it isn't as important right now, but I'll still get it done. I wanted to draw out the water. Realistically, I have maybe 2 elements of the soul I can get back. But let's see what we can get from Mr. Kill. So Mr. Kill, Ryan Spry, doesn't mind stopping for a gossip. Better now. Okay, on this, we'll try... I think I'm just going to keep bringing back all the ones that will earn me money. A cat! Stray cat. Feed some animals and earn their loyalty. Feed this one and earn its patience. I don't think we can keep the cat in... Yeah, the chair's in the way. Oriflammes thanks you for your custom. Alright, so we've got our too tough section up here. Death and their evasion seems like a decent one to put it beside. A lot of this really hinges on what Mr. Kill gives me. So far, not looking good. Okay. I think I'm probably at the point here where I need to say this is not going to work, and I should probably just cut my losses and open up the packages. So, better now. So let's think about what needs to happen. This is not a bad time for me to just take stock. So in order to level up Quenchings and Quellings, I need 5 memories. I've got 1 with the Regret right now. If I want a visual aid, I can use that too, right? So I'm clearly not going to use the other lesson. That would be wasteful. So I have 2 more conversations, maybe, with Mr. Kill. So that could potentially fill the half here. And theoretically, I could use the Metal and the Faust, and that would get me the other 2. Realistically, though, that's not... It's not the sort of thing that you would want to, you'd really want to make a bet on. So in this case, we'll say help with letters. I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. I'm actually going to change that around. We'll do the Faust here. The metal we'll use to open up the packages. Crack open the container. Delight in your discovery. And we are going to see what Mr. Kill gives me, because there may be something I can take overnight, but if nothing else, we'll use... There's one of 2 things we'll use the Whist for. Either 1, I'm going to use it to make an Eigengrau or something like that. Or, option number 2, I will, I'll be able to generate something like a Storm to use as a start for my Quenchings and Quellings. Mr. Kill really does not want to give me anything. Okay, so I'm already going to be up against the clock tomorrow, so we're going to start with the Glaring Room. This has long been a holy place, but now the sun in rags has withdrawn his peace from it, and the light here cannot be borne. In the day, the sun's light dazzles; in the night, the moon's light freezes. Only once a piece has been laid on the room will I be able to enter safely. So now we're going to talk with Fraser Strathcoin. Librarian, I have urgent business with you. My visitor can teach me the rudiments of this lively language. After tutoring you, the visitor will leave, even if they arrived on other business. I guess I should make a choice here. I will use the whist, and we will... I'm actually going to get the salt. Hang on, I can't get the salt, because salt gives knock, it gives winter... I'm pretty sure it's not one of these. In fact, I don't know if... Well, a storm. A storm will do the trick. So will a song, though. So Sky Echoes, I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So I think what I'm going to do, I was originally going to try and get Denzel to open up another room, but I think I'm going to focus on leveling up Quenchings and Quellings. So if I'm not going to be talking with people, I should send another letter. Dandelion wine, homemade flower wine. Running out of places to put all the goodies. It's going to be kind of late in the day for me to get the cheerful ditties, but it'll get us what we need. Although, like I said, I probably should get Sabazine is probably the next letter I want to write, so I need something that will take Lantern. And ink's got to do it. Alright, let us request the presence of Arthur Moore. I have enough here to craft a letter inviting Arthur Moore to Brandkrug. Now I just need to post it. So I do keep forgetting to mention the addresses of all the various characters. So for Strathcoin... Strathcoin's house, Midsummer Norton, and Arthur Moore's address, care of the Endeavour Club, Park Place, London. Stamp, envelope, send. The postmistress examines the letter and deems it sufficient. It'll go with the next post, she assures me. Okay, new room. Perugian Diaries. In 1907, at the age of 18, Christopher Lopoli left Strathcoin's household to study theology at the University of Perugia in Italy, enrolling under the name Christopher Strathcoin. For 4 years, since his adoption from a Bristol orphanage, Lopoli served as Strathcoin's pupil and protege, but his relationship with this austere and secretive man was always complicated. His journal confides, I still think Fraser's intentions are good. Certainly he agrees, but I never understood the final goal of his investigations. He was never prepared to enlighten me, and good intentions or not, I can no longer bear this stream of eyes. We have agreed to part almost amicably. Lopoli left Perugia in 1909 without completing his degree. He had long lost interest in his studies, and the latter half of his journal is concerned with his studies of Umbrian folk songs and notes towards his own compositions, which are of widely varying quality. One of the better ones, in the Marshes of Night, suggests he visited the site of Old Lake Fucinus near Ortuccio. So we want to get that into the dream slot as soon as we can. Okay, new room. Solarium. This room was once for the meditation of favored visionaries. Here, White Matilda prophesied the victory of the Iron King in the Wars of the Rhodes, much as it would occur 300 years later. She got the name wrong, though. So we got a few items in here that are of interest. So we've got a couple of tall candlesticks, elegant simplicity, another Sol Invictus symbol, the eternal symbol of the unconquered sun, all the way back to the Shadowless Empire, even through the wild heresies of the Intercalate. Potted bamboo, water it, and you can almost hear it growing. Awakened feather, alive to every draft and spark. Bisclaveret not. Bisclaveret is a half-human hill child of these parts, and this is its sign. A potted snake plant, a sturdy sun-loving relic from a warmer place. A potted pink orchid, a little smudge of dawn. Paradise palm, an unquenchable vitality. The 9-wink clock, the most effective and irrefutable alarm clock ever to grace the house. A bust of Willem Harries. This bust is cast in highly polished bronze. The restful seat, a dawn-colored seat for solar congregation. And the contemplative seat, perch here to meditate on the mysteries of dawn. And finally, we've got 2 dawn period books and 4 solar period books. So plenty of things to catalog. But Harry's should be the 6th. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. So again, we're going to be waiting about a minute for Arthur Moore. The first priority is going to be the quenchings and quellings. So I'm going to set aside, so we've got the Tryst. I need at least 1 Whist. So that's 3, 4, 5. Actually, I guess I just need 4. Okay, this works for me. I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. I'm also going to switch this out a little bit, so we'll go for a... No, I can only do the 1. Oh, still gives me something. Let's catalog some of these books. Or at least one of these books. Catalog a Dawn Period book. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Dawn Period, sometime before the end of the first millennium, commonly reckoned. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. As for the rest, let's see how we can get the required winter and heart. So the Sea Does Not Regret. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So that is 2 of 5 that we need. Solace works. 3 of 5. Four, 5, and regrets. Okay, for the rest, let's say we're going to take the kitchen range. I know I'm going a little ink mad, but this helps. So not all knots are physical. I can brew an ink which ties the naming to the named, and then we can go for a walk on the moor. So what was the other thing I wanted my health for? So I've got cooking as an option. I also have gardening as an option. I think I'm going to do a little more gardening. So Moth Scar. I don't think this will let me go. Oh, I can take... Okay, Lenten Rose it is. And we should at least have one more element of the soul before the day is done. Ooh, a rainy day. That might actually be a good opportunity for me to read not Three Flowers, Half the Tree, but the Berry Book. So we can do a dress rehearsal at Nona's desk. So we take the earth sign. Ooh. I feel like I should have better than 2 nectar. Yeah, we've got 3. Okay. Let's try that again. Yeah, so it would have 7 and then we have the rain. So this is definitely one worth this is worth attempting when we have the opportunity. And with that in mind, I'm going to pour myself a glass of water. Pour out. Pour it out. Carried a memory like a flambeau, safe through the mazes of night. Now I have an idea of this book's nature and its contents. On Matthias and Amethyst Imago, Pursuit, an account of an occult romance. A certain mech claims to have written this in a single night as part of his initiation into the Theban branch of the House of Leith, that order of immortals who use the arts of water to conceal themselves. Now, I think we have desires and dissolutions. We do. But that would probably only get us the 1, so this would be a good one to read if I can manage it. That is something of a big if, though, because we do not yet have Arab. We will be getting core soon, though. Theory Queen, first of all, welcome. So the question, for the benefit of those who can't see chat, I know you've played the game a lot, System Chalk. Do you have any sense of how many secrets of the house you have yet to uncover? So this is a little bit of a preview of the will be happening on YouTube, but I actually did find a secret of the house that I have not that I'd not run into before. So out of the secrets of the house that I had looked for previously and hadn't been able to find, those are now done. Now the difficulty I have is that I'm pretty stubborn in terms of wanting to figure things out on my own. So the drawback here is that if there are further secrets in the game, well, okay, I'll put it to you this way. There are definitely secrets in this game that I haven't experienced yet, simply because there's a lot in here, and I believe there are still a couple of books that I haven't actually read yet. But let me just count this. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? My notes are a little scratchy here. Let me just try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So as best as I could tell, I have uncovered 12 different secrets of the house. And I could probably do them by memory, but I'm not sure if you're looking to... Like, I feel like people might be a little more disappointed if I were to just start pointing out, oh, this room and this room and this room. One of them was actually really, really narrow. It does turn out that I had actually read a book that was a bit of a hint to the last one, but I was missing I was missing one or two little pointers, which I realized later. And I'm happy to elaborate on that. I just figured it's better to give a slightly enigmatic answer, and then I can clarify as it goes through. Selphea, lovely to see you. How are you doing? What have you been playing lately? For those of you who don't know, Selphea is... How shall I put this? Well, Selphea is Australian, so I suppose we can say that she is the ray gun of streamers. No, that would be doing a tremendous injustice to this wonderful broadcaster. Sylphea is actually somebody who I found through a streamer called Dendrian, somebody who I watched play a lot of my time at Sandrock, but one of the most wonderful things about Sylphea's channel is she's got a nice variety channel going on, lots of different types of games, but a very, very friendly community. I don't know, I woke up to an Olympic dream over this weekend. I mean it in a purely positive way. By the way, I hope I answered your question, Theory Queen, but if you wanted something more specific from me, I'd be... Oh, here we go. You like the automatic answer. Gives viewers the opportunity to discover it on our own, but good to know that the 12 mysteries of the house found, and you're still finding new ones. Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, of the 12 that I have found, I had found 11 for sure. The 12th was the last one where I was like, I feel like there is something here, and I just haven't got it yet. So there are a couple where I sort of feel like maybe there's something here, but I haven't had something in a book point me towards it. So my resting point right now is 12. But again, I just we're talking within days that I found the last secret of the house that I was looking for. So it could be there's something that just sort of catches my interest and I try differently. So anyway, sorry, I was mid shout out for Sylphea. But no, one of the things that kind of interests me, I don't know if this is a specialty that Sylphea has or if this just happens to be one of the ones that I particularly get attached to, but I've always been a bit hit or miss when it comes to RimWorld style games. Like, generally I actually really like Sims, but I do find that some of them are a little bit friendlier to me in terms of getting into than others. And it's very funny because some of them are ones that people would say, like, on paper, or if you look at the stuff that I like, you'd say, oh yeah, you'll love this game. And they actually sometimes wind up being ones that I really don't care for. And then there'll be these other obscure ones, or like ones that don't seem like they're very good, or maybe less popular, or, you know, just ones that you wouldn't necessarily note as being something that I like. And I wind up loving those. So I'm really hit or miss on the genre. But I feel that they're a type of game that Sylphea does very well. So I know Clanfolk is one that she played recently, but again, I am actually I'm a pretty bad viewer of hers. I still follow, but my work hours have sort of shifted a bit, so I haven't been able to attend as much. But that does not stop me from being able to talk up a broadcaster who I am very grateful to be able to catch whenever I do. Also, there's a cat named Tux, so that's another bonus. Tux looks nothing like this beastie. All right, Lieutenant Arthur Thomas Moore, retired. Hero, pilgrim, traitor. He'll always be a soldier, but never again can he be only a soldier. The Sea Does Not Regret. Eason Fekri, one-time Secretary Salvant of the Curia of the Isle, responsible for the Curia's healing efforts, writes of his experiences in Brandkrug and hints at his travels elsewhere. The sea does not regret the tide, Fekri writes, for when the tide is past, it leaves its traces of sand, which traces are the sea's memory. Fekri is a keen fisherman and speaks glowingly of the fish suppers of Brandkrug. He also admits that his enthusiasm for the bounty of the sea has altered him, that before he came to Brandkrug he consumed only those things found in the earth. I was the greater thereby, but all of us give up what we were to become what we are. The Orchid Transfigurations, Noon, the third volume of a compilation of quasi-Rosicrucian allegories, supposedly by Robert Flood. This is in the original Latin. A long dialogue between the Mountain Mother and the Vigilant Storm describes the ways in which both mountains and storms end, and the protections we may use against those ends. But we must use the knife, said the lion-throned one. The noose, the flame, the waking word against those who have passed the three-valve door, and so none may pass. That is our law and the law of the sun. Chion at Abydos, a play dealing with a 9-year sojourn of a snow goddess in the Thracian city of Abydos by Apollo Fireweaver. In English, published in 1892, purportedly from an older Greek text. The entity called Chion arrives in a blizzard and demands that the city gates are barred. As Abydos falls under her spell, the dead return but do not speak. For 8 years, the city is a place of slow death, frosty ecstasy, and silent beauty, but in the 9th year, a conspiracy of shouts is mounted against the quiet that Chion demands. The conspirators open the city gates, and a scarred man comes to drag Chion out by the hair. Summer returns, but the conspirators die of remorse. Okay, we've got our ink. Oops. And the Hissing Key, an account of the ascent of the hour called the Mother of Ants by the Bossk scholar Mech of the Theban branch of the House of Leith. Mech is not sympathetic to the Mother of Ants, who he calls the Milk Thief. He reviles her for her part in the death of the 7 coils, which he presents as a treacherous conspiracy. The Milk Thief conspires with the Legion Echidna and the hour to be called Chiliarch, now more generally rendered as the Colonel, to enseam the 7 coils with feathers and drown her in salt. The Colonel thus ascends to hour status. The jealous Milk Thief, once the Colonel's priestess, seduces Echidna into lending her the Hissing Key to enter the Mansis through the Savage Door, beginning her own ascent to name and ultimately hour. I do apologize, and I'm stumbling over the readings a little bit. I may take a small break just to refill my tea. But before we do that, I'm going to give myself another level of Quenchings and Quellings. It might be worth to think how I'm going to level up Quenchings and Quellings past this point. Out of the existing options... Yeah, we do have a storm, so I'm still good. I actually have 2 more options, but we won't need them. At last I am something of an authority in this. Improve the skill to level 6. Okay, now I want to get my health back. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink, while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. I would like to get past the stop clock if I can, but I think I am out of Solomon's preparation. Actually, it'd probably be better to do the Blackened Yard. Unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. So the Hawthorn Blank is not a bad find here. And pluck the petals of the Lenten rose. Pretty, poisonous, no true rose. And the skill is now level 6. Its power aspects have also increased. So the only reason for doing this with Quenchings and Quellings, I mean, it is kind of nice to have the improved value for effective against Theoplasmic contamination, but the real reason here is it's just my original skills, so there's something kind of nice about this being sort of the last one to get placed in the top spot. I'm sentimental, what can I say? I've learnt enough to puzzle out books in this language, though it might be slow going. Ramsund, this language has been called Mantik Altair and Lenga Ausel, and the speech of birds, and Ramsund, and the hazelnut tongue, but it's a language of secrets, and its true name may never be used. The aviform hours use it at their roost, or so the story goes. Alright, so Ramsund was going to go into preservation so that I could get core. although we will read both descriptions. So in Birdsong, it says, The Falconer's Tale. There's a very old story told by falconers about the aviform hours, the secret gods who take the shape of birds. Once there were only 5, the dove, the crow, the laughing thrush, the twin kites. The 6th had fallen to the talons of an owl, and they sought another to join their company. But the crow rejected half of all those they found for the dowdiness of their plumage, and the dove rejected the others for being too gaudy. At last they found a night bird whose feathers were both perfect white and perfect black of the perfect white and the perfect black of the crow and of the dove. But once they had accepted him, they learnt he was no bird at all, only a night-flitting moth. Fortunately for the moth, their pride kept them from admitting their mistake. But since that day, the aviform hours will only meet at night, when the 6th of their kind won't be unmasked. Or The Thief's Tale. There is a very old story told by thieves about the competition among the aviform hours, the secret gods who take the shape of birds. The dove boasted of the bones he'd stolen from flesh, and the crow of the flesh he'd picked from bones. One of the kite twins bragged that she'd stolen the borders from the kingdoms, and the other that she'd taken the roads from the crossroads. The magpie told all the colors he'd taken that are no longer found in the world, and the laughing thrush topped that with tales of the sights she'd stolen. But when the glitter-winged 7th of their number told them what he'd stolen, they were all shocked into silence. They fell upon him and stripped him of his wings and drove him from the sky. And so he and what he stole are gone from the world, and now we cannot even name them, but we still feel their lack. All right, we're going to go straight to language lessons with Lieutenant Arthur Thomas Moore. Tutoring Sabazine. My visitor can teach me the rudiments of this enigmatic language. After tutoring you, the visitor will leave, even if they arrived on other business. Now, I can choose to risk my core. I can try and do some more gardening, or I could try and earn some money. I think we will garden with the core. So I don't think I can use the history plant. I can get cat's claw, though. Better now. So I have a little while, but in 17 seconds we'll try to read the Barry book. No guarantees, but it's worth a shot. I deserved a little quiet time. Okay, so we're kind of hoping that the rain sees us through on this. Maybe it would help to do this at Nona's desk. So first up, health, earth sign, insects and nectars for the... Okay, well now we know how to make Ugolink. Then we'll add the mortar and pestle. Crush. The berry book. And finally, the language, Kilisimi. So again, we're one short on the nectar, so we're really just waiting for the game to tell us, hey, use a memory. The reason why I put the memory in rather than the weather is that sometimes there will be a specific weather prompt. So basically, if we don't get the memory ones, we're likely, not guaranteed, but likely to fail. But if I don't just have the chance of the memory one, I have the chance of the weather one for the rain. And so as a result, I'm willing to give up the earth sign, especially because the earth sign's easy to get back through Wrapped in the King. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. cat's claw carefully. Its mischievous thorns find ways through the thickest gloves. Uh-oh. Not looking good for us. I don't think I can get my soul back in time. And I don't believe the Epiphany gives nectar. I don't know. Alright. We'll just work with the whist. Might have been a better idea for me to restore the health, knowing that that was potentially going to come up. But even then, I don't think that would have really gotten us. It was for the man of letters to record these epiphanies with extreme care, seeing that they themselves are the most delicate and evanescent of moments. Joyce. The mysteries have defeated me for now. You can always try again later. Alright, so we got fear for our trouble. Did we make me sick? Did I just lose my health? Oh. Yeah. Perhaps the damp air is affecting my lungs. A defeat when winter is present risks sickness. I've exhausted my strength. I have become unwell, so I need 5 heart to cure this. This is actually probably one of the easiest cures for me to do. Unfortunate, right? I would prefer not to have had to go through that, but let's take our health here. I'm actually going to get this I'm going to get this dealt with right away. So let's pour another glass of water. Pour out. And we've got Sabazine. There is a history where Alexander defeated the first great knot of Sabazos and then the King of Kings. There's another history where instead he learnt from them. How many more? If we curl our hands into the correct shapes, we may yet understand. So Sabazine was one for birdsong. And I don't believe in this case we get to do the alternative because we already committed Deepman Dayak to Horamakastri. Which is a little bit of a shame, but... The Fisher's Tale. There's a story told by fisherfolk about a city of amber and orichalcum that lies behind the waves. Those who eat of its fruits can breathe water and drink light, but they can never drink anything else afterwards. Only in another history, they say, but if you tie your nets right, you may just catch one of its citizens in this history, and they might just tell you the way. I'm sorry, I just lost the part of my mouse. Okay. So, Hyksos is kind of hard to come by. What was the other one that we were looking for? Crack Track, which we can get from Schaller. And then we already had Ericapean, so... Wait a minute, we already put Fusi... Right, sorry, it was Nyctodromi. So Vac, I don't believe we... Well, we might. I actually don't remember the languages for people right now. But as far as level 2s are concerned, I kind of need to make my decision in terms of where I put Crack Track. And one of the factors that was going to go into my decision for Crack Track was where all of the others were going to go. And I really have only made one clear commitment here, which is a Quenchings and Quellings at level 9. So that's sort of a level 9 preservation or hushery accounted for. But for the rest of it, there's a lot. I should probably properly think of that. Either way, let's think of something to use my Tristan. I think probably my best bet is to just get the Perugian Diaries again and get a head start on the day's lessons. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So I think as far as priorities for the next day goes, we're really not that far ahead. Oh well. Forgot. Alright, you've supplied enough heart. So that's 3 minutes. We only really get 1 minute of that as the night runs by. By the way, there's no rule saying that I can't just get Crack Track now. But on the other hand, I only have a Bronze Spintria, so it might be nice to just hang on to those until I can earn a little bit more. But yeah, I think probably the 5 lessons should be my first priority for today. Second priority will be to try and recover the Earth Sign, assuming that I can. And then we should probably interact with the pets. And then from there, maybe we'll start using Denzel to open up different rooms and such. It's less urgent for me to open up the various rooms. We just recently read this, so I won't read the text again. Oh wait, what am I doing? We can't hang on to the cheerful ditty because I'm getting better. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, so I don't quite need to rush this room. 1, because I don't really think it's going to get me anything. But number 2, I like, even if it had books, I've got plenty of books to catalog here. So let's focus on leveling up Quenchings and Quellings. So West Core. Sad but true. Alright, I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. I think I'm sticking with my ink goals. We will still catalog another book. Okay, so with the remainder, three, 4, 5, 6, yeah. So some of these I won't reread just because I've recently done them. Nope. We want the hindsight. I think I ran out of desks. I didn't quite manage my resources that well, but I can still I can still get where I need to go. Okay, I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So in a minute, we will have the lessons that we need to bring Quenchings and Quellings up. Of course, it will take us 2 minutes to actually get Quenchings and Quellings back. Ooh, a Gale. I don't think that's going to change anything for us. Do I have any Tough Heart or Sky books? Okay, so perhaps, if I'm lucky, I might be able to try and get a... Ooh, the Iron Book. That's a Disciplines of the Hammer, which I think we have? No, we have Disciplines of the Scar. That makes it even more attractive. So if I'm lucky, I might be able to try and turn it into a... like a Swaddled Thunder. It's a bit... maybe not on its own. I would need the intermediate first, but I don't want to rule that out as a potential... a potential candidate. Alright, some authorities claim it's difficult to lose a pot of Peruvian ink, but they haven't lived in Hush House. So believe it or not, 4 is still not quite where I want that to be. Again, we've read Peruvian Diaries recently. We have read Sea Does Not Regret recently. I will reread these at some point, but I want to try and I want to try and balance progress with repetition. Traveling at Night Volume 2, The Annotated Dream Journals of Christopher Olopoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist, literate, entertaining, bewildering. There is an extensive discussion on the comparisons between Olopoli's own dreams and those of the Emperor Elagabalus, who Olopoli regards as a dupe or avatar of the sun in rags. The white is west of the world, Olopoli remarks, and winter does not wait forever. Elagabalus found his way to the White Door at last. Thankfully, speech can't pass the White Door, and honestly, Elagabalus never had anything very interesting to say. I tried to follow in his footsteps, but I never learnt enough of the White. I suppose I'm thankful for that too, but here's what I do know. The introduction to the Histories, the 17th century mystic and antiquarian Claude Hirsault describes divergent incidents in 5 major histories. The prologue warns at length of the iniquities of one Julian Cosley, a former colleague who Hirsault now describes darkly as a worm of worms. It seems Cosley advised Hirsault early in the writing of the book, but Hirsault later became suspicious. Hirsault identifies blood, silver, design, and the worms as the central axes of each of the histories, and claims the so-called second history is the true one. Lady Ava's Repose, a meditation on the drowning of Lady Ava de Wolf and her 2 grandchildren, written in the years when the estate was abandoned by Father Theo, once the de Wolf family chaplain, one of the few to remain on the Isle in those desolate years. There are so many stories of her heritage, so many rumors of her persistence. We might easily choose to believe that the grand twins escaped, even that they live yet beyond the sea. Father Theo has become to believe that Ava sought an escape from a family curse, the pale heritage of Haffren, her forebearer, or the curse placed upon the line by the cunning man Red William in the time of Hendrik de Wolf. He had begun by believing neither curse was real, but as the book concludes, he decides that he is determined to believe in them, rather than to accept the 3 deaths as a futile tragedy. One does not so easily escape the long necessity of faith, he concludes. I'm going to bring back the health in this case just so I can have some options. And Apollo and Marsyas, the libretto of a lost opera concerning the contest between Apollo and Marsyas and its tragic outcome. The librettist is identified only by their initials. In the original myth, Marsyas lost the musical contest and was flayed by Apollo, who later regretted it. In this version, Marsyas' skin has a further history. The skin of Marsyas gives oracles and is later smuggled to Phrygia, where the priestesses of Cybele use it for a drum. At the climax, the striking of the drum drives would-be violators of the priestesses to suicidal madness. The opera ends with a wistful hymn from the youngest priestess on the beauty of mountain pines. Right, we still need to wait on the recovery. So this wasn't too painful to deal with. We had to give up a water, but that's quite manageable. Alright, unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Serpentinite slab, the gray-green root rock of the Cornish coast. I don't think I have any space left for these, so I guess they go in storage? Alright, timepiece recovery. So, quenchings and quellings. We add the cheerful ditty Salt, Solace, Hindsight, Regret, A Storm. We add the Whist. We add our lesson. When I thought I'd understood, I'd only begun. Improve the skill to level 7. So as far as winter and heart texts are concerned, I really should be laughing at those. So I'm actually just going to take a minute here to look at my library. I don't think we have... So the White Book of Brittany is not that... It's not that we don't have a use for it. It's that I already have what's required. I want to move these to the side. Gemini Volume 1, similar story. We can do it, but we don't need weaving and not working right now. Second Glory we could do for Snow Stories, although we already have that at the level that we need. Those who do not sleep. Now this is an interesting one because I don't believe we have surgeries and exsanguination. Oh, we do. Never mind. Although this is... hang on. So if I do surgeries and exsanguinations, I can level that one up, but I can also level up the horns and ivories. Scar in the Sky. Well, if I want more quenchings and quellings, although there's a real possibility that I get more than I need there. Also, it's fair to say I don't have unlimited. I don't have unlimited winter. It's more of a likelihood. Sorry, it was Scar in the Sky. Yeah. So if I have. I need 6 more. So 2 comes from the Whist, 2 comes from a memory. Yeah, so Scar in the Sky would actually be a little bit beyond what I'm capable of, I think. But clearly I do want to read Those Who Do Not Sleep. Better now. Okay, I'm gonna give this... I'm gonna give this the time to run through. Although maybe just reading Those Who Do Not Sleep now would be an option. I should have gotten the core if I was gonna do that. I'll take a look at what my options are for the day. So we've got quenchings and quelling, so that's Level 8 Winter, level 7 Heart. Arts which quench fires and bring solace to the troubled mind. A true adept is never troubled by fire, nor by fever, nor by restless spirit. So the core would have been better if I was going to try something with heart. I'm not quite sure what I was thinking when I did that, but let's see what things I can get away with. So if I add health, quenchings and quellings, and a gale. So with Regensburg Bomb, quenching and quelling with Princess level heart creates Regensburg Bomb for a scholar level recipe. If I add a suitably aspected liquid, I will brew something more potent. So presumably the Regensburg Bomb would be there. Okay, so we can get Gideon Soaks out of that. You just realized that Raygun is the name of the Aussie breakdancer, so you being the Raygun of streamers means I'm a terrible streamer. That's why I apologized shortly after saying that. I obviously did not mean it, and I would not. I believe the defense of your country, woman, would not be that she is terrible, but rather that she marches to the beat of her own drum, that she is willing to be an individual on the world stage and to do what she does best rather than follow what others would expect of her. And I think those are very admirable qualities. In any case, yes, Sophia, please do not take this. She gave it a go. Good on her. I mean, I am not as chill about it. I do feel a little miffed that presumably someone who wanted to represent the country did not go instead. And I've, I have to feel for that person. But on the other hand, having been the subject of a public pile-on, minor one compared to what some people go through, but still one. I have no intention of fair enough. I mean, I'm not aware of the breakdancing scene in Australia, so but yeah, I was just being cheeky, Sylvain. Obviously, I do not want to compare you to the rather public face of Australian dance. Yeah, well, I'm sure there's a bunch of gamers now who want to believe that esports are coming to the Olympics. Please no. Okay, so we do have Gideon Soaks here. I don't know if adding Gideon Soaks is going to... Yeah, that's more of the same. You'd think by now I'd remember what all of these recipes are. I could try and add a Ruby Wise Ruin. I don't think that's going to change anything. No, that just gives us Gideon Soaks again. I'm curious if the Mommet winds up being the one. I hope not, but... Alright, that's not gonna work. Oh, I forgot to check the creative supplies. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna take the Mommet. This will, though. Oh, but I don't have the heart, right. I don't have a lot of good ideas for this one. Although I never look at the necropsy table. You know what? There's possibilities here. Well, I need more heart. Well, that clearly wasn't it. Although I do wonder now, when I was doing this at the table... Alright, so I only had 13 here, so I do need to find some more heart. Well, I guess I do this through the... Okay, that still didn't do it. Mind you, I don't really know what I was expecting. So there might be something that I could use. Oh, excuse me. There might be something that I can do... Like, so clearly I can get to the scholar level. That's not really the issue. The question is either, am I willing to take the time to try all the different combinations, which is never that exciting, or how do I get the necessary ingredient? And I don't think... I mean, it is pretty early for me to be doing that anyway. So I think I might try and read the book at this case. I'm just trying to think if there's another... No, I think probably reading the heart book's the way to go here. Yeah, that's fair. I can master this mystery enough heart to match mystery heart. Now, we're basically gonna read the book and that's it. Like, we're not really gonna be able to level any of this up. But yeah, I have a pretty clear idea in terms of what I wanna do with it. Improve surgeries and exsanguinations up to its level 2. And then put whatever remains into horns and ivories. I'll also say it's been a couple of hours. I think, especially just because I've been a little scattered, what I might do when the sun falls in game, I might take a break for myself. I wonder if surgeries and exsanguinations, that needs a heart. Yeah, we might be able to do something with that. Yeah, I might take a small break just to refill my tea and stretch and just kind of clear some of the fog out. By the way, Salfé, I will say that I'm actually very happy that breakdancing's in the Olympics because it's one of Canada's gold medals, so, you know, just saying. Yeah, I think there's an outside chance we can get the skill leveled up. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers to the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay, so we'll bring the core back. It is spring, and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. Well, I just expect that Canada will get gold medals in those, too. Those who do not sleep. The Mystic Broadnax discusses the origins of the Sister and Witch and of the Thunderskin. The Sister and Witch were born in 2 wombs, one poor, one rich, across the sea. The sister was stronger in the aspect of heart, and so their survival was assured. The witch was stronger in the aspect of grail, and so they were not satisfied. When the sister and witch came west, the red grail permitted their ascension, but then grew jealous of their power. It lured a great musician into the ranks of its names, and caused him to be reborn from blood as a heart hour, so that the grail might maintain dominion there also, but its victory is not assured. So that gives us a storm and 2 surgeries and exsanguinations. That is slightly disappointing. I could have brought... I mean, I still have the option of bringing Horns and Ivories up to 5, but I do at least want to try and bring the skills up to level 2 so I can start making some decisions in terms of where various things go in the tree. Let's add you to the storm pile. I don't have my core yet, but we will level up surgeries and exsanguinations, and then Horns and Ivories tomorrow. I've been a little slow to catalog these books, but I feel like we've made some decent progress over the course of the last couple of days. So we've got a bunch of the languages that we were looking for committed to the Tree of Wisdoms, so that's definitely a nice to have. And then we're closer to Horns and Ivories. I'm not quite there yet. I actually think I might even wind up helping out Schaller before the next Salon. We'll see. Do I have the option of putting the occult scrap out of curiosity? I do. Alright, there's always more to learn. Improve this skill to level 2. This will increase its aspects, which will help with crafting and make it suitable for higher branches in the hang-on. I am going to use the storm. So the reason for this is that I can use the knock for Horns and Ivories, which will then allow me to put in the card. Again, I have more elements of the soul than I did previously, but I still want, where I can, to make the most of the day. There's lots for me to do, so even these little ones help. I think I have, if I recall correctly, I believe Aaron Peel has Vac. He's just difficult to bring in. We did say that Schaller has Crack Track. I think those are my only 2 options right now. But then I suppose the next question is, like, how badly do I want these? The skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. Surgeries and exsanguinations. Surgery entails the flow of blood, and the flow of blood entails purification, but the door also opens the other way. Okay. I hope this isn't too off-putting for people, but I'm going to take a small break for myself. I'm going to put the kettle on, so I need the time to boil the water. But yeah, if you have been here, especially if you've been here since the start, I would encourage you to get up, have a stretch, otherwise take care of yourself. But I do plan on doing about another hour of the game. And depending on what opportunities are in front of me, I'm thinking we may want to try and bring Horns and Ivories up to 5 so I can write my first manuscript. Alternatively, we'll try and get through whatever books that I can to get the skills that I need for the Tree of Wisdoms, at least the way that I'm doing it. But again, we'll see how the day winds up going. I'm not too fussed about pushing a particular path. Just because, again, part of the exploration out of all of this is part of the fun, right? I don't know what's going to happen when the manuscript turns out, which is one of the reasons why I want to try and put things into Horns and Ivories. But anyways, we will sort this all out after I have some tea and a little bit of a break. So I will see you all in a little bit. Okay, sorry about the wait. I've learned 2 rules. Number 1, so the tea took a little longer. I made a snack. It always takes longer to clear it than expected. But number 2, it's a really dumb idea to pour boiling water in the dark. Don't do that. I could use some Regensburg bomb. All right. So, surgeries and exsanguinations into Horns and Ivories. So, technically we only need 2 more memories for this. That won't be too difficult to get. Let's actually take some time to think about how I want to make the day work. So if I want to hire Denzel, we're going to need Edge, Heart, or Forge. I think probably, as much as it pains me, using the health makes more sense here. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to actually write this out. It's actually not that bad, Sulfay, but I definitely had a close call. I was kind of quick enough to only have it be just a little sharp moment of you're doing something stupid and then pull away and survive. So I shouldn't be a big baby about it, but I will be. Okay. So, the big focus right now is going to be on what I can get done with Denzel, I think. I don't think there's any Forge weather that I can take advantage of. So, Denzel starts with 2 Forge. Then Metal will give him 2 for 4. Foresight will give another 2 for 6. We need to get up to 10, so Spanners give us 1 for 7. T gives us 2 for 9. Okay, I seem to remember that I had a way forward on this, but let's actually work this out. So apparently I can give him almonds. I mean, that'll be enough. I don't want to rule that out as a possibility, but let's see what I was trying to do here. So yeah, the wheel-filled spring doesn't do anything for me. Cellar, no. Collapsed cellar, no. Squawkphalogia, no. Blackened yard, no. Dim hall, no. So really is the stopped clock. So I also believe he takes materials. So let me just find one of those. That's not a material. You know, the bitter black salts will probably do the trick here. Although, come to think of it, it may not be that. It may be... Well, we have options. So yes, bringing Denzel in will help me through the day. Denzel will talk about practical matters, though he prefers to sit in silence. A shilling will buy his help for a day. What do you need? We'll see what the weather brings before I go too much further. Okay, rain. So that's not going to help me with the Horns and Ivories. I can, however, try the Berry Book again. So, here's what I'm going to do. Faust with Rapton the King. Yeah, I have an idea in terms of how the day's going to go. So we'll restore the health right away here. It is spring and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. So the idea here is I'll have the health both for leveling up Horns and Ivories, as well as potentially any support that I need for the Berry Book. So while we do that, let's get Denzel leveled up. So collaborate. Metal, inspiration, and determination boosts forge and edge. And actually, before I do that, Denzel accepts elements of the soul, metal, okay, beverage, memory, sustenance, and a tool. So metal is a pretty specific order here. But again, we can get the almonds and then just order the other goodies. Actually, I should also decide for okay, so I need 2 memories overall. Also, I have no idea why I used my health when I easily could have used the core here. Gonna drop some replacement water. So I need to leave this aside. But I don't need to with the whist, technically. So again, I just need 2 for the horns and the ivories. The Trist and the Fet we can use at Crowcross Sands and the Moor. And we might do something. I won't use the Trist on the Solar Period books, though, so... What is the sea seeded today? Yeah, I think we're just going to explore. Our course is fixed. Ooh. I need to remember to generate the foresight for Denzel, too. I feel I should... I don't suppose you've ever heard of Bancroft's Diaries, have you? Because if not, this is definitely a book that I've liked in the series since the very beginning. Alright. So, there's actually a bit of an origin story as to why this... Actually, I don't know if this was an... No, actually, I think I do have a clear idea in terms of where the inspiration for this came from, but I'm just going to let the text speak for itself when it comes up. Alright, Wrapped in the King, detailed accounts of secret bacchanals and ecstatic dances observed in necropolises and graveyards in southern Europe, in Egypt, and in Anatolia. The author is a self-confessed ghoul and an eater of buried flesh. He claims to have witnessed the dances while at his feasting. The dances draw from the traditions of the mysteries of the cults of Isis and Sybil, but include both symbolic and literal flayings, and the human heart is always central in the rites. The author punctuates his accounts with queasily sensuous descriptions of his own interrupted feasts. At these greater feasts, a black pig is always crowned as king before its slaying. On this occasion, its heart was weighed in the balance against a knot of feathers, and its skin became a cape for the officiant. Its flesh was left for the crows, but I must confess my interest was not in its carcass, but in the perfumed flesh of the milliner laid fresh in the earth. So this is so that I can try and read the berry book again. Now, there's always that risk that I'm going to damage my health, but I still think this is worth pursuing. So, Killisimi. We will take insects and nectars. We will add our earth sign as a memory. And we can add the mortar and pestle for... Alright, nectar, a hedge of thorns, perhaps. That book that I just read was not Bancroft Diaries. I will properly introduce it in a moment. Better now. Okay. I think in this case I'm going to bring the Faust back for its own sake. It is spring and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. Oop. I should have been talking with Denzel about other things. How much longer until I have... long enough. Let's give him the compass, or the square. Mason's Pride. I can lend my assistants something to help increasing their abilities. You'll still be able to use this tool. Bancroft Diaries. Lord Franklin Bancroft was initiated into the arts of the flower maker by the rose witch Fiona Ayrshire. He rose to become a society provider of occult services and secret pleasures before his abrupt disappearance in 1790. Bancroft seems to have been a talented adept, but devoted his energies to frustratingly whimsical projects, arranging grape-fetching matches between mantis spirits, teaching percussagants to juggle, and conjuring storms of imaginary blossoms for the rose witch Ayrshire, who resolutely refused ever to couple with him. Bancroft spends 20 pages bemoaning this last. The mantra here recorded is a high and exacting magic which can be used to pledge one's spirit to the watchman, beginning an ascent to the house. Bancroft boasts of his ability to recite it when in his cups. He also had it set to music for a performance with fireworks at Vauxhall Gardens. So, I believe the story for this particular one was, I think it was Lottie Bevan, one of the co-founders of Weather Factory, was the one to suggest. I may be wrong on the specifics, but I believe that the origin, I think it was Lottie who mentioned it, but I believe the story goes, someone mentioned, wouldn't it be amusing if you had, a magician, one of these occult figures, using it for trivial things, which is more or less where Bancroft came from. But I also believe that there is a bit of Faust in that as well, in terms of the things. Anyways, I find it I think it's an amusing text. I always like reading it each time I go through. The other one is the author is CROD, but we do not have that in the library yet, sadly. So what can I say? I am easily amused. Should probably decide on something to do with my health. It feels a little lame to do another weaving and not working, or another ink, but I think I'm going to in this case. And we don't know what we're up against for the berry book yet. Oh, that's right. I was saving that element of the soul because we didn't know what we were up against in the berry book. The yew blank, a wood sacred to the Malachite, who is also called the ring yew, but also the tree that the dead pass in the dark. So let's move the shell here. And we've got pilchards. Pickle them alone, or they're pretty good on toast. Running out of places for the pilchards. A little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. I think it's a little late in the day for me to try and restore an element of the soul this way, so I'm going to let it pass. What I was hoping to do was just let Denzel possibly generate some of the elements of some of the memories that I needed, but we may not get to that point. Okay, what have we got here? Extra effort soul, Awen. All right, we've got it. Memory. Looks like I need to pour a cup of this tea. Actually, I thought I had another one sitting around somewhere. I'll pour it if I have to. It's slightly bugging me though, because I was really sure I had a cup somewhere. Okay, no biggie. Pour out. Okay, no soul to apply. Pour it out. I can offer my assistants something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. There's the memory. I'm going to have quite a bit to do in the next little bit. Some authorities claim that it is difficult to lose a pot of Peruvian ink, but they haven't lived in Hush House. Alright, so second shelf of this. I think I'm going to restore this health at the Sweet Bones, then we'll worry about the Faust later. Down to the Grushans. Okay, so let's give him the almonds before I forget. That's the 10 that I need to be able to open up this spot here. I can offer my assistant something to eat. This will increase their aspects. It's also just friendly. And while I'm at it, let's do an order for more almonds. As always, we fill out our order forms with Perinculate. Deadly. Use gloves to read text produced with this pigment, an ink of power. So I can just do the single almonds if I want. Carefully mark the creamy paper. Let's see some of the other things that we can order in here. Almonds, beef, plums, pheasant, drinking cocoa, Armagnac, Lambic, Raveline wine, Roscragen whiskey, Strathcoyne whiskey, Schloss Jannings, witchworms, arsenic, Navin parchment. Sure, let's try some parchment. I think I'll get a beef and a pheasant too. Alright, the Berry Book. This is another fun one to read. Thyrza Blake, 7th librarian of Hush House, talks about fruit. For no other apparent reason, but that it was the kind of thing that she did. She talks about fruit in the woven language Kilisimi. Who was it once said, fruit is the womb of a plant? It was me. Take a few moments to think on that enripened wisdom. I shall leave a blank space for your moments, here in this page. Nectar, children mine, cast my words into a sufficiency of nectar, and watch the Pyrus Persimmon burst from the wood. Gather more nectar, wring it from the trees and the earth, and our Persimmon gushes forth the sacrament. You will thank me. Okay, satisfaction, leaves and thorns. I'm pretty sure we have a satisfaction shelf somewhere in here. Or do I? It would appear I do not. That is a little surprising. Ah, there we go. Okay, so first things first, let's bring in the leaves and thorns. Use this lesson to acquire a new skill. This is a Grail and Nectar skill, so I may need to bring the core back if I want level 2. Actually, that's a good idea. I think I'll bring in another beef and pheasant. Beef pheasant, and I'm actually also going to bring in a... we can use Eigengrau, actually. Okay, let's bring back... It's got to be both the surgeries and exsanguinations and the health, so... Alright, so we've got our order form. We'll send that off in the post. Post a completed TRN order form. Complete the order. The postmistress signs and seals the order and places it in the place that stamped orders are properly placed. Wait 3 days, she commands. Alright, so we've got Denzel up to the level that we need to fix the stopped clock. I am going to talk to him, though, to see if we can get some memories. We really only have 2 chats with him before I need to commit, but that is enough. Another leaf on the Tree of Wisdoms, leaves and thorns. There is no scent without sorrow. So this will be level 2 before too long, so I'm just leaving that aside. Alright, sea-strewn, salt-snared stuff. Now, I don't exactly need that much sand, but I'm at a point now where I can sort of afford to... I have space to, and I can afford to kind of keep some stuff hanging around that I wouldn't normally keep, so... I can always toss it later if I don't need it. Of course, it would be better for me to find uses for these things. He does a lot with silence, this man. Okay, so this helps me with surgeries and exsanguinations. This is good. Speak to Denzel. He might even reply. So this technically frees up one of my whist to do something with. I'm not quite sure what... no, we can still probably make some money. Hey, Kieran, what's happening? What is happening? I've got... Oh, looks like I actually need to find something else to do with this whist. I've got a few more languages committed to the Tree of Wisdoms. I believe I can order two of these if I put together enough resources. I'm also about to level up two different skills, which is nice. And then I am one skill away, or one lesson away from leveling up Horns and Ivories to a point where I can prepare a manuscript. So there's actually quite a few things that are about to happen in fairly quick succession. Let's bring in the salt. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So I'm going to take the hindsight and the salt with surgeries and exsanguinations to level up Horns and Ivories. In about a minute, we'll get we'll get our health back. Yeah, so I've got 2 wisps just sort of hanging around with nothing to do. There's definitely things I can do with that, but let's just take a minute here and clear out the sweet bones. Better now. Okay, so this is so I have some scale to work with. Okay, Leaves and Thorns is getting leveled up. There's always more to learn. Let me just double check I have everything that I need. So this is getting us the salt. The salt and the hindsight will combine with surgeries and exsanguinations to... I forgot one other memory. I'm glad I did this inventory. So if I need scale, the best option I have is to actually just read the Savage Hymn, or to get the Savage Hymn. And then let's see what I can do with my good old Wisp. So I can get an Eigengrau from Quenchings and Quellings. No Stories, Bittersweet Certainty. I think we've kind of already done this check. Yeah, you know what? We'll make another Eigengrau because I'll wind up using that for something else. Still a kind of possibility. He does a lot with silence, this man. I forgot I was going to use the occult scrap. Okay, shame on me. We'll see if we can keep 1 or 2 of these things. Alright, more Leaves and Thorns. A storm doesn't help me with Horns and Ivories, but I might keep this overnight. Yeah, we'll talk with him one more time. I may not necessarily use whatever he gives me, but... we are 13 seconds away, so we'll be good for the level up that we want to do. Yeah, I'll just wait on everything. The Sea does not regret. Isan Fekri, one-time Secretary Salvant of the Curia of the Isle, responsible for the Curia's healing efforts, writes of his experiences in Brandkrug and hints at his travels elsewhere. The sea does not regret the tide, Fekri writes, for when the tide is past, it leaves its traces on the sand, which traces are the sea's memory. Fekri is a keen fisherman, and speaks glowingly of the fish suppers of Brandkrug. He also admits that his enthusiasm for the bounty of the sea has altered him, that before he came to Brandkrug he consumed only those things found in the earth. I was the greater thereby, but we all of us give up what we were to become what we are. Singlefoot Songs. Father Stanislav John Schaller, priest and diplomat, writes of his time in the slopes of Husan, near to the grove of green immortals, but never too near. Schaller's relations with the grove are cautious. It's a library of the tree, but it is under the hand of the hour named Applebright. In time, however, Schaller comes to be more sympathetic to the Applebright, which he suggests causes harm only when so invited. The Singlefoots are the title of one-horned, one-footed hill things with sweet but powerful voices, powerful enough to open the mountain. The Singlefoot sometimes trample pilgrims, sometimes heal them, sometimes coerce them to enter the mountain and become Singlefoots. Schaller explains that when he found this last becoming too tempting, he decided to return to his homeland. So we get a Savage Hymn for that. Alright, better now. And the surface of the substance is difficult to resolve, almost as if it weren't there at all. So decision time in terms of how I want to level up a few of these things. So here's a better question. I've got Matthias and Amethyst Imago Pursuit. I've got the Iron Book. So this would be Grail. This one would be Edge. So I'm not making any firm decisions either way with any of these. I get a leg up with the amalgam of the Red Rose and Ambrosial. So let's take a minute to think about these. So I've got 3, 5, 7, 8. Okay. So Meniscate Reflections gives us Edge and Forge, so not something that would help me here. And then Spices and Savors is Forge and Nectar. So again, this is tempting, but it doesn't quite bring me along where I want to be. I want to just double check these. So this is Sky and Lantern. Yeah, Nectar and Moth. This feels like there's a possibility here. Although I don't have stone stories, so technically this would just be used for its own purposes. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, so we have 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay, so we're still technically short. I'm going to move this down. Hang on. No, we may not be. We have enough to read this. So I think I'm going to keep the Savage Hymn no matter what. I've really imposed some tough restrictions on myself, but I'm okay with them right now. I should also remember I can technically read slightly more difficult Nock texts. Or actually, right now I can't, but I will in a bit. Okay. I think I know what my next move is. So we take Horns and Ivories, we'll grab Surgeries and Exsanguinations, Occult Scrap, Hindsight, and Salt. We put our health in for the effort, another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree, improve the skill to level 4. We will rest on the Savage Hymn, which has Sky Aspect, which is why we're allowed to do that. And finally, we will add Kaima's cards for what you might call an occult correspondence. But will they come when you do call for them? I guess the one thing I'm missing here is the Earth sign. Alright. We could have used that to level up the skill, but anyways. Let's get him to open the room. With maniacal but methodical care, someone has disassembled the clock and scattered it around the room. Wheels and parts have been piled and lent on every surface. A W has been marked on the stairs in soot. skill is now level 4. Its power aspects have also increased. Horns and Ivories, the Hunter, the Way, and their memories. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. So I think I'm going to need to wrap this up pretty soon. I do want to finish off the room, though. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to see what the weather brings first, because it is a new season. Here we go. Current affairs. What's happening in the world beyond Brandkrug? What visitors will the season bring? I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. So I'll queue up a couple of things for me to do before I'm too committed to the day. So we will start by using my health. We'll add the language, Horns and Ivories, the Savage Hymn. There we go. I can master this mystery, enough scale to match mystery scale. You know, actually there's a funny thing here. I think if I took this health out, if I added this whist, and then added the serpent style glass, this works as well. So I'm going to do this instead just because the health is a little more useful to me for other purposes. Okay, I don't think I'm going to take advantage of the sunny day. I am, however, going to make some money. Could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. And actually, what I think I will do... So if I add my health here, if I take one of the beef, so we can roast a beef joint, or I can take that Eigengrau that I just made, or at least some of the Eigengrau, marinate a joint of beef. So a dish with an ingredient for a higher purpose. Want to just double check that adding kitchenware doesn't change the equation here. All right, I can work with this. In the meantime, let's also catalog another book. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Solar Gothic period, roughly between the 1000s and 1500s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. So, Grail, in summer it's moth and rose. So, there may be some possibilities here, but probably on the wine cellar more than anything. George Collars, governor of Brandkrug Jail, oversaw the design and installation of this great clock, with the reluctant help of the librarian Serena Blackwood. She might have refused outright had she known how he intended to reuse the horologist techniques for his so-called condignator. An inscription on the greatest wheel reads, "Strike the hours." So we got a couple of items in here. So first of all, we have the great clock itself. Every flame has its fuel, and every tick has its talk. So Forge, Knock, Sky, and Winter. And this will take elements of the soul and omens and memories. We have Umbrus Oil, Caterin Heroes, first grade Umbrus Oil. We've got a little bird here which doesn't do anything. The next level, Fallen Bells, so that'll be 11 Forge, 11 Heart, or 11 Sky. All of these are actually quite difficult for me to work with, but we're not in a rush there either. Let me take a minute here and see what the barber might be able to help me out with. Okay, so we take Barber. That's 2 Moth, so then we add a Trist. That's 2, which takes us to 4. Memory. Technically, we can put in a 3, so I'll boost that up to 7. Then we've got the Shears. So that takes us up to 8. So really from there, the question is, do I have any drinks or food that give me the moth that I need? And that is actually a tricky one, because we have stuff like the honey. That only gives me the 1. And then there's the Skin Shuck Mead, which gives me 6, which sort of feels like that's killing a fly with an anvil. Even the Cuckoo Honey is something that's pretty intense for what I need. So I think my best bet here is to actually just do a bit more cooking and see if maybe maybe I can work. I can try and find some better dishes that I can serve my followers. In any case, 2 big things. Number 1, I need to go to bed, and number 2, I actually kind of need to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you everybody for watching. We've got what is that? Still the 12th. So I'll be back on Wednesday for more of this playthrough. There's actually going to be a couple of interesting things happening. So first of all, the Affair of the Second Skin. So this will be bringing in the Edge and Scale people. We do have the option of getting, I think, 2 more languages if I work really hard. But mostly it's a question of I'm already getting some more. I'm already kind of studying and getting some more skills as it is, and we still have more and more books that I'm getting. So also once we get to winter, I'll be able to make some more Solomon's preparations, which means at minimum I'll be able to go into the Blackened Yard, and hopefully we'll be able to uncover a couple of other places as well. With autumn, we'll have the Orchard Keepers who will be able to give us heart and nectar. Heart and nectar or Grail and nectar. We also have Mrs. Kill. Anyways, plenty of things for us to do, but those will be handled in a future episode, specifically Wednesday. So let's just see who's online before I wrap up. And we have got, let's see here. Okay, I don't see anybody playing Don't see anybody playing Book of Hours, but I do see Prosciutto Fist playing Conscript. So I am going to leave you in Pro's very capable hands. Prosciutto Fist has played... Oh, Kite! I'm sorry. I'm wrapping up. I actually got to go to the bathroom. It's wonderful to see you back. I believe you were working. Under normal circumstances, Kite, I would absolutely stay and do another hour for you, but I've got so much work to do. I feel like I owe you a message on Discord. But yeah, I hope you're well. Guys, for those of you who don't know him, I don't know if I can do... Actually, I can do the regular text shout out. Please do check out Kite. He is an absolutely wonderful broadcaster, somebody who has very gently nudged me towards a couple of really fun games to stream. Somebody who's always been very encouraging, and somebody I feel that I have known for such a long time on this platform. He is definitely somebody who I get quite excited to see inside of the chat, and he also brings some of his spies, Momo and you, every once in a while. Anyways, I do apologize, Kite. I really feel like I should have stayed longer for you, but the raid is underway, and I do need to wrap up for myself. So yes, we'll be in touch. All of you have a wonderful evening. I hope to see you all on Wednesday as we continue on this early look at Book of Hours House of Light expansion coming out next month. Thank you very much, Selphea. I hope you have a good night, and I hope you have a good stream if you're streaming later tonight. And again, for those of you not following Selphea, another fine broadcaster to check out on your own. Oh, can I get it in on time? There we go. All right, enjoy Pro, everybody. Have a good night.